Hello, everybody, and welcome back to a brand new episode of Beyond the Torch. I am Todd Herzog, and I'm here with Leslie Neese, and today we have a guest that I'm so excited about. I only met this wonderful human back a couple of months ago in the jungles of Ecuador. It was completely by chance, and we instantly connected, and today she joins us. Welcome, Shireen. Thank you so much for being here.
Hi
Same here.
guys.
We're
Excited to
so
be
glad.
here.
So Shireen was on Worlds Apart and she was on Second Chances in Cambodia
Yeah.
um, because she deserved that second chance. She deserves a third chance, in my opinion.
Thank you.
Ooh.
But Shireen, welcome. How are you today?
I'm doing quite well. Yeah, Todd has forced me to go on the dating apps, so I've been dating.
Ooh,
Yes.
we want to
Which
get
I
into
think we're
that.
gonna get into because I have some fun stories to share. Like there's some
Yeah.
fun things to go on about this.
Oh,
But
this is
first,
gonna be
before
good.
we get into you, we have to start off with the fans have spoken.
Yes, let's
Okay.
put a spotlight on those fans. Today we heard from Melissa. Todd, Melissa has something actually really special to say to you. So that's why I
Okay.
was like super excited to play this one. So here's Melissa with the fans have spoken.
Hi, my name is Melissa, and I'm just calling in to say I'm a huge fan. As soon as I seen that you two have a podcast, I started listening to old episodes. Sorry if I talk fast. I'm very nervous when I call in. But as soon as I seen that, not only is Todd, you're one of my favorite winners, but not even just because of your gameplay, but because of your life in general. You're a an inspiration to me personally. I heard your interview with talking with T-Bird on RGP, and you said you got sober in 2017, and so did I. I'm also a recovering addict and an alcoholic, and I've been sober since 2017. So I feel like we're sober siblings, and I just thought that was really cool, and I just felt a connection, and just want to let you know that you're an amazing person, and you're just an inspiration, and I love your guys' season. And I just wanted to call in just to say that you, the Survivor, fan base has made me feel seen, and some of the new, players have made me feel seen. So thank you so much. I know I'm probably going over, and I'm going over my time, but for being you and just being amazing, and one day at a time.
Oh,
That's so awesome. Thank you, Melissa. And congratulations on your sobriety. Getting sober is not an easy thing. It is one of the most difficult things that I ever had to do. But you know what? Once I was ready, I was ready. And so, congratulations, 2017. That's
that's a long time.
pretty incredible. Pretty
Yeah.
incredible. So you should be very proud of yourself as well.
Yes, exactly, Melissa. And thank you. And I agree with Melissa. You are an inspiration. You are an amazing human. I can't believe I get to do this with you. I can't believe, we get to be such good friends. Can we just talk really good about Todd right now?
No.
No, I mean 100%. That's why I'm here. Like the second that I met him, I didn't know what I was getting into. We were forced to be roommates, like without
Yes.
and we both were like, you know what, sure, fine. And then we immediately met and I immediately fell in love. And like the best part of my Ecuador trip was Todd. And I'm obsessed. Yeah, just
Nice.
like he's everything.
Oh,
Will you share the story of like our first interaction with Les? Like, share
yes,
how
I haven't
this
heard
happened.
this. I can't wait.
Okay, so like, because Todd and I were the last two people to get there, so all these other people, had their own places already, and there was only one, and there was only one room left, and so Ryman, formerly known as Spencer, asked me if I'd be willing to share, and it was with Todd, and I was like, oh, it's not even like a girl, and I was like, well, like, I loved him on his season, um, and but I've never interacted with Todd before. I didn't even know if he was sober, actually.
Mm.
But I was like, you know what? This is an adventure. Yes, let's do it. So Todd came the day after me. And it's like a whirlwind thing when they bring you in and you do like little ceremonial stuff, and then they let him drop off his stuff in our room. So I was in the room like, hi. Um, and I don't even remember how it came about, but like within 1 minute, like we both were able to share the like, are you here for all like are you doing all of the it was a lot of like hippie stuff, so like healing type of things. Some of which like I knew about, some of which I didn't, and we shared this thing of like, you know, how far hippie are you? And we were the same level of not hippie. And so it started there. And then they also put this like orange ceremonial paint on your face.
So like stripes.
So it's like two orange stripes, and then and they're insects everywhere. So you wanted to put like insect repellent on, and I think I don't know if you also were putting on sunblock. But so Todd was like, I'm in a rush, I have to go do my interview now. So then he's like putting so we blah, 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 gab 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 for the minute we have, and then he's like putting on the bug repellent, and then he gets orange all over his face. He goes, it's full Donald Trump, just orange.
I was going to say, this sounds familiar.
And then I was like, and then he looks at his hands, and his hands were orange. And like,
Oh no.
I had no idea. So like I had put the bug stuff on my hands, and then I was rubbing it around my face, like full face. And I
Oh.
turned and looked at Shireen, and she just started cackling.
yeah. And I was like, please God, let me take a picture of your face. And he let me. I have that picture.
Oh, so sweet. So this thing that you guys went to, like some people may be listening, like, what are they talking about? Going to the Ecuadorian jungle and putting paint on their face. What was this about? I mean, I know, but let's let them know. Let's let people know.
Shireen, please explain.
Yeah, because I think we also got told what it was at different at points of the life cycle of what it was. So for me, it was like when Survivor season 50 rejections came out, a lot of people went on Twitter like pretty angry about the way that they were. Apparently, I was not in the running for season 50. Like I'll never be in the running for Survivor again, and I'm totally fine with that. But what was funny was apparently like over 100 people were called, and many of them Survivor casting told like you are 100% on season 50. Even people like Ryman didn't even want to go back on at first, and they convinced him. I think there are a number of people like this too, where they convinced them like, no, you definitely should go on, and you're a lock. And so then they like got excited about it. They planned months of their lives around this, and then like a week or two before filming, the rejections started going out, and people who thought they were a lock were told, no, you're out.
That's
yeah.
tough.
So that's like, and so that's when Ryman, formerly known as Spencer, he was like, well, this is just part of the Survivor experience. Like starting from our original casting up to like then being on the show, we go through so much stuff off camera. And then after the show, so much healing happens. And then if you're, lucky or unlucky enough to be cast again, then you also get like yanked around in this really emotional way. So I want to invite and during COVID, he moved out to Ecuador just to get away from the US for various reasons, and like built a whole life out there, and is really he's really close with a shaman. He's really into like plant medicine and other ceremonial stuff out there. And so he wanted to bring a bunch of survivors out there to Ecuador to basically film us talking about that process of what our experiences with Survivor were all like, and why you even need to heal from it. Like, why is there like all this anger coming out on Twitter right now? And like, just kind of, and he was already in touch with the documentary film crew for other projects that he had out there. And so he was going to repurpose that for this. And from my perspective, he's my closest friend from the show. He was on my second season. And I hadn't seen him at that point, I hadn't seen him in years. And so I just wanted to go out and visit him in Ecuador anyway. He wasn't sure if he'd be able to get a full cast of people out to see him, let alone like an interesting enough draw that like it would be a good, documentary in the first place. But I said like, look, I'll support you no matter what. I just want to come and visit you. So just count me in and get whoever you want to get, and we'll go from there.
Nice.
And now I'm going to pass it over to Todd, because I think Todd was told something slightly different.
Yeah, so my experience with the entire thing was a little bit different. Like, Ryman had posted the whole thing on Instagram is where I saw it, and it was like, the whole 50 experience being cut. Like, if you are wanting to feel healing or whatever, let me know. So I messaged him and I just said, I'm sorry that this happened. I understand what the feeling is like with Winners at War and not being cast on that. So if you ever need anything or like ever want to talk or vent, just let me know because I'm happy I'm here. And so basically was just reaching out to say like I support you. You're a good human.
Yeah.
And he, responded. We were chatty. I've known him for quite some time too. He came to my house, a couple of like 10 years ago, filming a different project of his. Anyway, so he is a good guy. And anyway, a few weeks after that, a producer for this documentary had reached out, a few months, I guess, and was like, are you interested in coming down to Ecuador? And I was like, I mean, sure, but I wasn't contacted for 50. So like I wasn't even cut for 50. And he's like, no, that's fine. And then I was like, I also am not necessarily like healing from Survivor. Like I'm pretty good. And
Yeah.
he was like, that's fine. And basically everything I was like, I don't qualify with any of the points that are there. And they were like, but no, you've kind of been through it. So like, do you want to come out? And I was like, and I'm sober. So like I'm not gonna go and do like, experimental plant medicines that are gonna make me hallucinate or anything, but I'm happy to be there and be supportive. And they were like, come on down. And I was like, heck yeah, like I want to
That's
go to the
awesome.
Amazon.
Yeah.
I talked to them for a little bit too. I was actually going to go
Really?
until I found out it was during Thanksgiving. And I'm like, I'm mom. I can't
Yeah.
not be there to cook my family's Thanksgiving dinner. But in my situation was a little different too. I was like, listen, I don't need to heal from Survivor. Survivor actually healed me. But I would love to talk about that process and how it just opened my eyes to how closed-minded I was and how sheltered I was and
Oh.
how religious I was and how, I've done so much work since then. So I said, I'd be happy to talk about how it actually helped me.
That's
But I
crazy.
understand. I know. So and this is what I love about this show, Shireen, is that we get to celebrate Survivor, but we also get to talk about the reality of it's not always,
Yeah.
a picnic or rainbows and
Yeah.
butterflies. Sometimes it can be really, really difficult for people emotionally and mentally and spiritually. As you're basically being your most vulnerable in your
Mhm.
most vulnerable time, completely
Mhm.
stripped of everything on national television with
Mhm.
people judging you. And it seems to be getting so much worse as we get into the newer era. Now that social media is such a beast, let's call it that, because that's what it is. And like, Todd and I dabbled a little in that, but it was nothing like it is now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no.
So I think it's important for people to see like reality TV isn't all, fun and games.
Yeah.
Sometimes it can disrupt your life, but in good or bad ways.
I think it's actually, now that I've heard you say that, it's a real bummer that you didn't go, because I think that that's a perspective that I hadn't heard before. Like, I don't know people who went on the show and were healed by it.
Mhm.
Versus, either I think you have some people who have like the smooth sailing experience, and I think most people, um, I mean, it sounds like you still grappled with stuff and that's
Oh
how
yeah.
you healed from it. But for
Yeah.
me, like I was on, it sounds like you should have come to my season and been like and given a TED talk to the rest of my cast. Is what I think should have happened.
Yeah. I think,
Yeah, but
it just depends on where
From
you
the
are when you go
beginning,
in.
I want to know, like, from the beginning of before your first season,
oh
though,
yeah.
like, what made you want to be on Survivor in the first
Yeah.
place?
Yeah. What was that about?
Oh yeah, so I started watching it. I think the first season started airing when I was a senior in high school, and I didn't even watch the first episode live, but some of my best friends did, and they were like, "Oh, Shireen, this is right up your alley. You're gonna love this show." Like they're eating, rats on the show or whatever, and so I went back, and so we rewatched the first couple episodes. I rewatched with my friends who had been into it. I got obsessed, and then.
Love that.
Um, and for me, it was a few things. I loved just the game, the idea of like voting people out, like as a strategy game was really appealing to me. And then I also had a really tough childhood, both home life and school life. And so it's like it really was such an escapist fantasy for me, especially this idea that you get to go to an island and everybody starts with nothing, and you don't know each other. You get to start from scratch, and so there aren't, all these other things at play that in my life were bogging me down. So So this combination of the escapist fantasy, but being able to go and play this amazing game was what was so appealing to me. And then I kept watching obsessively until season 5. And season 5, I think, is very easily the worst season. I think it's just like, it's so ugly, it's so gross, it makes me feel just like disgusting to be alive. And so I stopped watching for a couple of seasons. And at this point I was in college, so I was super busy anyway. And again, like, I don't even know, I think it was just like the bug of, oh, I missed that show, I loved it. You know what it was, and I think it was that I saw that an all-star season was, I thought season 8 was coming out, all stars, and I was like, oh, let me go back. And this is when like Napster, LimeWire, these things were out. So I went on like on one of those and downloaded like the season 6 Amazon, season 7 Pearl Islands. And those are two of my absolute favorite seasons. Pearl Islands
good.
is my top favorite season.
It's a good one.
It's so
And
good.
I literally, it's so good. It's
It's so good.
so good, start to finish. It's a crime that it's like not talked about more. It's a crime that it's like, it's Sandra's
Agreed.
first season and people just like don't even ever talk
I
about
agree.
it.
And it's
Mhm.
such a good cast. And
Yeah.
Yes. And it's like, it's the kind of villains that the show should have, because I believe, there are good villains and there are bad villains. And like that season has so many kinds of villain, right? Like you have the Andrew Savage villain, you have obviously the Burton and Lil. Oh, Lil is a villain. And I finished Pearl Islands and then I rewatched it again, like just back to back. I couldn't stop watching it.
amazing.
And season 8 came out. It was like my one. I ended up like I like two of my close friends still to this day. I found out that they were in the computer science department with me. I found out they were also into Survivor. And it's funny because the three of us are like such totally different people, but we every week watched Survivor together. And
I love that.
and at the time you had to be 21 to be on the show. And here's the thing, like they never cast Middle Eastern people, A, and B, I was fat at the time. And like, especially like young women, they never cast a fat young woman at that point in time. So honestly, I knew that my weight alone would prevent me from being on the show, but I still religiously applied like from the day I turned 21. I had these like the 3-minute VHSs and I sent them in every fucking time I could.
I love this. I love it.
Yeah. And
The only failure is not to try, right, Shireen? You got to try.
Mhm.
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, no, and it's so funny because so many people, everybody in my life knew that I was obsessed with the show. I remember like I did an internship at Microsoft and made like we had like a cohort of like just really close friends, but it was like a big group of us, like 12 of us, maybe even more. They all knew that I was obsessed with it, and like whenever we would go to we would do like a weekend camping trip together or whatever, I would play out Survivor in my head with like this group of people. And I was like, if we were to vote somebody out right now, like who would it be and why? And then I would talk to people about it and then figure out how to navigate those scenarios. Like, and everyone knew what I was doing and I was crazy, but yeah.
You were
And most,
self-aware, though.
yeah.
What was the first season that you did apply for then? Do you remember?
Yeah. Let me think. I mean, it must have, because Todd, you and I are the same age, so it must have been around Cook Islands, yeah. Because it was whatever the first season was that I was eligible for
Okay.
is when
Yeah.
so it was probably Cook Islands. If that was
Because,
when.
yeah, I'll never forget because I was 20 and the cutoff date was January 28th and I was 20,
yeah.
but I turned 21 on the 29th. And so
Ah.
I sent my tape in on January 28th so that
Yeah.
I was like, they'll get it in the mail by the time I was 21. So that was the
Yeah.
first one I did. So Fiji, I
Okay.
was really technically
So I was gonna say, so then it must have been Fiji for me.
Fiji for you because I'm a little bit older.
Yeah, just 1 month.
Yeah, 1 month. That's
Yeah.
crazy. Anyway, sorry to cut you off there. I was just curious. So we started playing at the exact same
Oh.
time.
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, no, and so then I would, yeah, it was, yeah. The whole thing is, I don't even know. I could ramble forever about the whole thing, and I would see people go on. I'm like, how could they cast this stupid, boring person? And then it's crazy because then the answer to that question was, oh, it's because I'm fat. you know.
Oh,
Yeah, no, and then eventually and it's funny too because like look, everybody around me, like there were a few who believed that I could get on, but most people didn't think I'd ever get on because they were like, it's just a different class of human that gets on this show. And I was like, no, but they cast people like Todd. They cast like they cast, you know, I was gonna say, is Todd like one of the first? There's so few. It's true that there were so few. God, I hate using this word, but like normal people by my standard, like on the show back then.
Nerdy super fans who weren't like torn from, yeah.
Yeah,
China did a really good job with that because me and
yeah, they
Leslie
did.
were both
We were
super
super
fans.
fans, 100%.
yeah.
Yeah, I auditioned from season 3 and all the way until 15 when I got on. So
Wow.
I was so pissed when season 8 was All Stars because I knew I
Oh,
wouldn't
yeah.
have a shot. It's like, damn it, I gotta wait a whole nother 6 months before I can do this again.
Yeah,
It's just crazy to think back.
it's crazy.
So when were you finally called?
So I was finally called for Amazing Race and Survivor at the same time because I was also applying to Amazing Race. But I
Ooh.
knew that they were cast by the same people, by Lynn Spillman's team. And so in my mind, I always thought if they talk to me for Amazing Race, I can try to like funnel that into a Survivor thing. And that's what happened. So Amazing Race contacted me first. Um, and let's see, and then Survivor was like shortly after. I thought that but they didn't even know that they were both talking to me at the same time. It was Dominique
No.
from Amazing Race and Penny from Survivor. Yeah.
Aw.
And that was during Fans versus Favorites. And then it was this weird thing where so Dominique and I became really close. I don't know if this happened to you guys, but basically like she, could see my personality through my shitty video. And
Yeah.
so she gave me the advice on how to fix the video. And like just like a few quick points. And I was like, oh, I get it now. And then I had a really good video. But she then went and talked to Lynn or she went and talked to Penny about me, and then they went and pitched me to Lynn. It's this weird thing where Lynn didn't believe that I was a real person. Like she thought that I must be like just faking all of this.
Making what?
My personality and who I am, especially because of like my career. Like I had a, really good career in tech. I had worked for Google. And at that point, actually, I was like in between jobs. I was doing like startup stuff. So I wasn't really I wasn't like at a big company. I was doing startup stuff. So I was still working, but like not like, with some like big name behind me.
So
And Lynn was
basically
like,
that your
no,
personality didn't fit the job description. Is that what you're saying?
yeah, it's like the demographic, the job. But then also she did not like that I was doing my own startup stuff. To her, she thought like big company was ambitious and stuff. Whereas in tech, true ambition is leaving the big company and taking the risk and whatever. And so she also thought like, oh, well, like you're faking this big personality to get on the show. Like nothing is adding up here. And also like, you're clearly not ambitious enough to be on this show because like you quit your job and have nothing. And so that was the feedback that was given to me. And and later she did confirm to me that she didn't believe I was real, that she thought I was faking it. So I know that part's true. But like, so then I was like sending her I just made these like 30-second videos or 1-minute videos and just like sending them through to her, doing crazy things to get her attention. And then a good friend of mine is friends with, or knows, through work, through career stuff, through Google, like, and knows Mark Burnett. And so then I got my friend to tell Mark Burnett that like, I'm willing to go so nuclear to get on this show. And she got mad at me for going to Mark Burnett. That was one that backfired. Yeah. And so then they were like, you need to stop now. She's mad. You bet. Like, stop. So then I didn't hear from her again for a couple of years. And then it was specifically for Worlds Apart because it was the first time that they wanted to go out of their way to cast successful women for the white collar tribe. And they didn't have many people who fit the bill that they would ordinarily cast. So they wanted like good looking women, young women who were successful. And at that point, I was an executive at Yahoo. And so she got kind of like desperate for me. She's like, reach back out to that person. And from then on, it was just like smooth sailing through the casting process. Because once they brought me in and like talked to me and got to know me, I think you
realize, yeah,
you get it some more. Yeah.
Yeah, she's real. That's amazing.
So that's it. That's my
Wow.
story.
I think that's really fascinating because
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that you were sending stuff to Mark Burnett, like
Right.
that's
I mean, that's gutsy.
that sounds like something
Yeah.
I would have done if I knew
Yeah.
how.
Yeah, exactly. If I had his
Here's-
address,
It was one of those things where like it's like once you get that because I was so close at that point, right? Like once you're on the phone with them and they're talking to you and you have their attention, at that point I was like, oh my God, I can actually get on. It was no longer me sending a video into the void. It was like I am
Which
talking to
is- yeah.
someone.
Like they need to
Um,
just meet me type of thing.
yes.
Yeah.
I would always say that too. I'd be like, if they would meet me, they'd put me on the
Yeah.
show. And they
Just
finally
meet
did
me
meet
and
me and they
talk
put
to
me
me.
on the show. I was like,
Yeah.
sometimes
Yeah.
you just can't get it across on a video.
Right.
You have to have a
Especially
conversation.
in 3 minutes. And of
Yeah.
course, a video, like a 3-minute video for the most part, is not really easy to come off super genuine about who you are. You're trying to put your
Right.
personality on 100% and
Yeah.
send it out. And so it's like always going to come off a little bit forced. But I think, like, for me, at least with my tape, it was like the one time that I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do it. And I set my camera down and I just did it. And I sent
Yeah.
it away without even watching my tape back.
Oh
And
wow.
I was like,
What did you do? What did you do in yours, or what did you talk about in yours? I love audition
So-
videos.
I was a flight attendant, and so I was in my little flight attendant uniform. I had just gotten home from work, but I was going to a Panic at the Disco concert that night. And so I put my camera on and I started talking and I said, I may look clean cut and like the boy next door, but I'm gonna show you the other side of me. And so I started changing my clothes, and keep in mind this is 2006. So I put on a super deep V and less skin and
Hell yeah.
jeans and the unnecessary vest that had no point.
You were so good
And
with
then-
that vest though, man. I loved you in that vest.
But then I even painted my face like they did in one of their music videos. And so, yeah, that was like what I was doing in my tape. And then I sent it away, didn't think anything of it. And it's crazy though, because I went to the Panic at the Disco concert, got in line. I was first in line for general admission. This is in Denver. And I was waiting for my friend to join me. And then a huge snowstorm came out of nowhere.
No.
And they pulled the line. And my friend was not there yet. So I had lost my spot in line. But the bodyguard came to me and was like, you've been here for hours. Come with me. He brought me backstage to meet Panic at the Disco.
No.
It was a great day. It was a great day. So I got to meet
Wow.
them. And then I went in, and the people who were like next to me in line saved front row seats for me and my friend.
No
It was a great day.
way.
That's a great day, Todd. I haven't
Yes.
heard that story before. That's fun.
That's
yeah, when they
crazy.
finally called me, they were like, well, we love your application, but we can't find a video for you anywhere. Can you send us a video? And I'm like, are you joking? I have sent like 11. Like, go look in your Survivor vault. And she laughed.
Right.
And she goes, well, let's just send me one you've already made. And so I just sent her one that was already made, and they loved it. I'm like, well,
Oh,
why didn't you call
wow.
it in then? You should have called
And
it
you
before.
said it was 11 times, right, Leslie?
11. Mm-hmm.
Gosh, damn. That is wild.
So they just picked you based on like your written application. They didn't even
Yes.
watch your videos. That's crazy.
Isn't that crazy? That's why I always tell
Yeah.
people the application matters. You have to like
Yeah.
really do a good job with that.
'Cause-
And it was the first time I admitted that I was a Christian. Usually I was like, I'm a radio host, but I didn't say Christian radio host. I would talk about things that I do, but I would never talk because I didn't want to be typecast. And then I was
Yeah.
like, but that's who I am. I need to do this. And so I did. And apparently that's what they were looking for. They wanted a strong Christian to be in that Buddhist temple to have a breakdown.
With
And I
the
gave
gay
it to
Mormon
him.
flight attendants.
Right.
And to like fight with the gay Mormon flight attendant who she became besties with. So, you know,
It's so wild. Oh
I know
my
it's
gosh.
crazy.
That's crazy. I was gonna say if I
Crazy.
were a Christian or something, I would have like highlighted because I feel like but it's a good point that you didn't want to be typecast. But like they, obviously the majority of people they cast on a show are not just a little bit Christian, but a lot Christian, or people who think they're a lot Christian, but they're actually just bad people. I said what I
Yeah.
said.
No, it's true.
It's-
I mean, you're
it's true.
absolutely right. And I think
Yeah.
for me, I was just like naive Christian. Like, so I'd
Mm.
never been out of my Christian bubble since becoming one, was surrounded
Yeah.
by people who believed just like me. They knew something was going to happen with me. I don't think they realized how much, but yeah, they knew I was, yeah. She was like,
Yeah.
you're really into this, aren't you? And I'm like, yeah.
Like Shireen, when she says Christian, we're talking like Christian. Like this woman
Yeah.
was very, very Jesus.
Yeah.
But I've loved her since the day I met her because I grew up Mormon, so I knew exactly
Yeah.
what it was like to be around those kinds of people. I just thought
Yeah.
I told myself, like, she was saying, oh, he's probably just going through a thing with when it came to, like, gay or whatever. But I was saying, oh, she's going through a thing with
When it,
learning how the world works.
and this is going to open her eyes. Yeah, it's crazy.
Um,
But okay, so you get
Yeah.
called, you get cast, and you get out there. So was
Yeah.
the
You know, and
experience that you
I want to say something.
imagined? No, yeah.
I want to say something also about because I always forget to say this, but I think one thing that is notable about my casting process is the first time that I met Jeff Probst in person in the casting room. After because they obviously, like, they, maybe people don't know this, but like they egg you on, they want to see like if you have
yes.
backbone, and if and but then at one point, so, and I got plenty of backbone, and so by the end of it, Jeff Probst said to me, he's like, yeah, you're gonna be great for this show, like you're gonna be such a bitch. And he said that, and I was like,
Uh-oh.
and I was like, no, and I was like, that's so funny that you say that, because like I don't I'm not a bitch. I'm quirky. I'm weird. And he's like, you don't see yourself the way you actually are. You're a bitch. I was like, and it was this back and forth of he was calling, he thought, and again, it's like it is a perception thing. I think you see these eyebrows, you see that I'm, they've never had a Middle Eastern person on the show before me. So I'm coming in hot as like in their minds, like a lot of the, this like rougher, like tough kind of person. And he saw bitch, but like because of all of that, they weren't actually seeing what they were going to get on the show with me. They saw, oh, she fits the bill of like what we're looking for white collar. She's articulate. She's going to give good confessional. They saw all of that, but they didn't see that I'm a total weirdo, which is what you got on season 30. And it's funny that like I never got my I fucking told you so moment with Jeff Probst. But am I right? Am I
You
right?
have it right now, Shireen. Tell him
I
right now.
fucking told you so, Jeff. I'm not a bitch. I can be a bitch if I want to be a bitch, but that is not
There
even
you go.
close to the foremost thing about my personality. The thing that shines, that rang out, is that I'm
Absolutely.
fucking weird.
I love that. I love that
Yes.
because weirdos are my people.
Well, I
The
will tell you,
weirdos.
Shireen, though, like I do think, because that was still a while ago. Season 30 was a while ago.
Mhm.
I do think they used to look at women who were strong women as
Yeah.
And
bitches
instantly be a
Yeah.
bitch.
instead of just a strong woman with an opinion. For God's sake,
Yeah.
you're not supposed to do that. You're a woman. Shut up. You know what I
Right.
mean? And I
Yeah.
do think that I think they've evolved a little bit in that.
Oh,
I
yeah. I
hope.
think mhm.
But like at the time, yeah, it was very, yeah, if you were a strong woman, you were the evil villain. You because they didn't know what to do with it. But like if a man did the exact same gameplay that you would have
Right.
done, he would have
Yeah.
been celebrated as a genius and
Yeah.
a legend and iconic.
Yeah.
And so I'm so freaking glad that has evolved and Survivor. Like I do think a strong woman is a strong woman now,
Yeah, for
but
sure. And because you can't just like, the other thing is you can't just like cast one strong woman in the wild of a bunch of their normal, middle America types. Like you need other people around the strong women who are going to be okay with the strong women who like don't see the
yeah,
world in that same way, right? Who see the
exactly.
world a
Yeah.
little more fluidly based on other characteristics.
Mhm.
So I agree with you. I do think that's like one of the things that's a lot better about new era casting. I think they've made mostly like a lot of positive changes. I do think that there are still, there are always going to be some issues, but
Right.
Mhm. Yeah, I
There's always
mean,
going to be
yeah,
issues no matter
with
what.
every show. I mean, it's hard to find that many people, who are unique and who are,
yeah,
it would be a hard job to be a casting person. I can't imagine
yeah,
doing it, but
I
it'd be
agree. I
fun.
think it would be very hard. And it's kind of something someone was talking to me about their casting the other day, and they were telling me, put on your night clothes, like you're getting ready for a Saturday night and you're going out and blah blah blah. And this person said to me, they were like, but I don't go out on Saturday
yeah,
night. And I said,
right,
I feel like they're attempting to put you into like a box that you're
hmm
not. And I
yeah,
said, so like that's where you have to make the decision. Like, do you want to go and pretend to be something that you're not, or
yeah,
are you going to just tell them that's not who I am?
Right.
You
Well, it's
know?
like my version of that is like when we were doing wardrobe, when we were sending in wardrobe, Lynn was like, "You didn't send in a blazer or anything that looks like a suit," and I was like, I
I
would be
don't
voted out
own
of my
them.
job if I showed up to my job in a suit, or like nobody in tech wears a suit or a blazer as a woman. Are you kidding me? And she's just like, look, I'm gonna level with just like Lynn directly on the phone with me. She's like, I'm gonna level with you. She's like, send in a blazer or you won't have a jacket on the show. I was like, I'm sending in a blazer.
Blazer is on its way.
Here we go.
Blazer's on its way. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. That's crazy. So
Uh-huh.
you get
So
out there and like you've been, where were you guys at? You were
Nicaragua.
Nicaragua.
which
Dang.
I
Okay.
didn't know. I didn't realize this until we were in Ecuador and she told me and I was like, what?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
What was that like
I feel
for
like
you?
I feel like I got lucky in both of my locations because like Nicaragua was, I mean, look, it was still, so the really bad thing for me personally about Nicaragua is like the bugs in that region ate me up. And like, you can like everybody on my season in the first stage of the game thought that I had some kind of skin condition because like if I didn't have 2 layers, anywhere that I didn't have 2 layers, I had like I had literally like adjacent like just bites all over. So it looked like a skin condition. It didn't even look like bug bites. It wasn't like one. It was like, and you can see it on the show if you pay attention. Because so my beach, the white collar beach, was Exile Island from San Juan del Sur from season 29. So an
Wow.
Exile Island, first of all, like the beach itself, all rocks. There's no sandy beach. So when you wanted to go out and like aqua dump, you're like precarious on these like painful like volcanic rocks and like and being like splashed around by the ocean and slammed into rocks and stuff. And it was like and I lived on all 3 beaches on my season, so I can say this with authority. It had just massive mosquito problem. It was Exile Island for a reason, and they put white collar on that beach for a reason. And so I was like eaten up. The no collar beach was, I mean, a million times nicer than the white collar beach, but still had some mosquitoes. So a lot of my mosquito bites started going away at that point, but I still had some. And then by the blue collar beach, which by the way, the blue collar tribe, I love pointing this out. The blue collar tribe was all white people, and all of the all of the people of color and like and non-Christians on my season were all meant to be on the white collar tribe. There was a black guy, Willie Galt, who was supposed to be on the season on the white collar tribe. He's like a famous athlete, but he had to cancel last minute, and that's how they brought Will Sims onto my season. They put him on no collar and moved Tyler Fredrickson to my tribe on the white collar, and that's how we. Anyway,
Wow.
all that to say, blue collar, like, and when we also landed on like their camp was, I mean, it was paradise. It was massive. They had a freshwater lake and the beach. The beach was sandy. They had 0 mosquitoes. And when we first landed on day 1 on the beach, like Jeff Probst gave this huge speech about how the blue collar, the salt of the earth, the greatest people, and you can even like the people in press. This isn't me being crazy. Even the people in press talked about this openly of like, wow, on that day 1, Matt, like he vilified the white collar tribe and he just praised how amazing the blue collar people were. And I promise you, like I was way more blue collar. I've been way more blue collar throughout my life than most of the blue collar people on that tribe like ever have been, because a lot of them come
Yeah.
Do you know what? Do you remember that, Leslie? Because I do remember, even as a cat, like viewing it, I remember feeling
remember that.
immediately like the white collar tribe was the villains tribe.
Villains. Yeah.
And there
Yeah.
wasn't a real reason for it, but like looking back, it makes sense because of the whole
As you-
shit, which is really interesting.
As you were saying that, I was thinking, that's why I felt that way. Like
Yeah.
I didn't
Yeah.
even realize he did it, but you're right.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, it was a thing. And then obviously as like the season went on, like they didn't like, push that agenda anymore. But
Yeah.
as you guys know, the agenda that production pushes in the beginning is what shapes those early stories of how people view you. And
I know this very well.
They're very powerful storylines. They're very powerful in the way people talk to you, treat you.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, anyway, it was fine. I had, if you took all the people away from World's Apartheid, I had an amazing time. I went, I checked almost all my boxes, like hit almost all my goals. Right, like I made the merge, I made the jury, I got to go on so many rewards, I got to live on all 3 beaches, like I lasted long enough that I felt real hunger. I did actually make like I did have some really close bonds and good friendships from the show. I had deep enemies whom to this day I wish the worst. And and yeah, and I think that like it's the thing that sucked was like I thought I was gonna get a 0 edit too, and I wasn't on the show to be on TV. I was just on the show to live what I live. I also already knew going in, like again, given that I'm like the first Middle Eastern person ever cast for the show, so I knew that it'd be a really a crazy uphill battle for me to ever win amongst the kind of people that they were casting then. But I knew that I could make it to day 39, and so day 39 was like the one goal that I didn't achieve. Fine, I'll take it.
How long did you last? How many days?
29 days.
So
That's
close.
a long time. That's
Yeah.
like a month.
That's
Yeah.
over New Era's full time.
100%. Yeah,
exactly.
that's like really
Now I
badass.
feel like I've made it. Where I'm like, I
Yeah.
can talk my shit if I want because like the New Era doesn't even go as long as I lasted. That like it makes me just feel like like I got the full experience. And not that
You
they're not
did.
getting the full experience, but like it makes me feel good about my experience.
Yeah, yeah. So what did you when you went out there, you had this idea of what the experience would be like, and sounds like things didn't go like you had hoped or planned.
Yeah.
But like
Yeah,
what did you learn about yourself, about the world, about life out there when you came back? How were you different?
It it validated everything I knew to be true. It was like high school all over again, where it was like we regressed 20 years in history and we were back to being just like really basic idiot children bigots. And um like literally on day 1 a guy, Joaquin from the white collar tribe, in front of to me and Carolyn said, well, she's old but you're fat, we'll get rid of the in front of us, we'll get rid of the old one first and then we'll get rid of you second. So he's like, you don't have
And
to worry just
Shireen
yet.
was not fat,
No.
is not fat. I
No.
no at all.
And it's
I was
crazy.
called the old lady
Yeah.
and I was only 38, so
Right.
Yeah.
No, for sure. And it's like again, that's what I mean by it's like, are we in middle school? Like, are we? Or do you have the IQ of a snail? Like, what is happening here? How are you on a white collar tribe and talking like that? But yeah, no, it was just like, and I think they were so impressionable too, and so it was like I think easier to shape their minds over like small things. And they didn't respond even like deep in the game after, okay, like settle down, we now know each other a little bit better. Like people still wouldn't talk to me, people wouldn't want to be seen talking to me. They wouldn't listen to logic, um like I the big one is like Mama C, Carolyn, like she always aligned with people who could beat her in most importantly, beat her in the end. And B, a more subtle thing that people don't realize is she was also always aligning with people who were never going to vote for her to win at the end. And so like her top allies were the double whammy of who you don't want to align with. And I kept telling her that. And like people, and like as the game went on, other people, the no callers, kept telling her that. And the Sierra as well. Like, I mean, all of them really, like the only person who actually like really understood the dynamics of who could beat whom was Mike Holloway, who ended up winning. And for him, it didn't matter because if he got to the end, he knew he could beat anybody and he could have.
He played a great game. I mean, he really did.
Yeah. And like, for sure. I think all the time when I think about this question, I actually think all the time about heroes versus villains, right? Where obviously Russell's never going to win. That's not a question. And then you look at like the Parvati versus Sandra thing, and Sandra is, and I don't know. I wasn't there. So it's just pure speculation. But now having been now on the other side of it, and as somebody who like rewatches these seasons like with a different eye and super closely, I see that Sandra is going around talking to everyone and trying to work with everyone. A, and B, the backbone, right? Like the fact that because like I remember on Worlds Apart, so many people would say, I'm playing an amazing game. You just don't know it yet. You just can't see it. You're gonna find out. And it's like, if I think that you're doing nothing you say and tell me at Final Tribal is gonna change my mind. You need to put on a display. We need to
Yeah.
think that that's what's happening. And that's what Sandra is like, is blowing people up to their faces in front of everyone. She's not afraid. She's fearless. And so it doesn't matter whether it's gameplay or not. Like she's putting herself on display.
Yeah.
And then Parvati
Unapologetically.
unapologetically. And I think Parvati, my guess is that Parvati wasn't talking to people or didn't have as good of relationships with other people, wasn't
Social
talking to other
game.
people as much. Social game. I think she also got a bad draw. I think nobody talks about this side. I think she got a really bad draw having Amanda and Candace on the jury who both were like resentful of her and had an axe to grind with her for like, I think, petty, stupid reasons. But like, but that aside, I think this is like what Sandra really brings. Sandra seems to always have a good relationship with everybody around her.
Everybody.
Even in real life. I mean, she's
This
just
is what I tell
amazing.
people often too with heroes versus villains. I said, I've met Parvati and I know Sandra, and Sandra, she will make anybody feel welcome and comfortable around her. She is
Yeah.
very kind, very open, very welcoming. If you are wrong to her, she will let you know that you're wrong,
Yeah.
and then that's it.
Yeah.
Parvati is a nice person, but she doesn't open up and
Yeah.
pull you in like you feel
Yeah.
with Sandra.
Yeah.
And that's why I think Sandra won, because she makes you feel welcome.
Yeah.
She does.
And do you know what this reminds? This reminds me of actually like one of these dates that I went on because Todd is forcing me to date. So like one of these dates that I went on, there was this guy who was just like overly serious. And I remember like when the date was over, and I like the first thing I thought was, man, it wouldn't be fun to talk shit with this guy.
Done.
And yeah, and I was like,
That's
and
a
it's not like
different
it's weird because it's not like I go into dating thinking like I better be able to talk shit with him, because I can imagine myself also being with somebody who doesn't like to talk shit. But if I'm talking shit at you like about somebody else, like I want you to, there's like
react,
there's a
respond.
respond and laugh, and and I knew
Sure.
that and some people like can't. And Sandra, you can that's like this vibe of like you can go say anything to her and she'll
yeah,
bro
she'll
down
flow
with
with it.
you.
Yeah, she'll flow with
It's
it.
so true. It is so true. But I agree with you in a dating sense. Like you have to be able to complain or vent or talk shit
Yeah.
about somebody to the person that you're with. Even
Yeah.
if they're not going to necessarily understand what's going on, they need to be open and hear it and respond accordingly.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So you had a pretty rough experience when it came to relationships out there, but did you walk away like maybe learning anything about yourself?
Like the biggest takeaway for me was like I had these experiences my whole life where people were bigoted towards me for no reason, right? Like except for truly appearances or outside influence or whatever. And like I grew up and have been my upbringing, my college, and my career have been primarily surrounded by white Americans who've not experienced anything close to what I have. And furthermore, I'll say like didn't believe me, like don't understand. And before I call myself a recovering Californian. I had such a big chip on my shoulder about it as a Californian, because California like encourages you to be angry about everything. And so I like would like constantly try to tell people about it. And I don't do that anymore. But for me, what was so healing about at least all of that ugliness airing on TV is that a ton of my friends, some of my closest friends, because here's the thing, I'm gonna say a thing. Which is when people first meet me, they're like, that's a weird name. What's that from? Or like, oh, what ethnicity? And again, you're getting me with my straight hair today, but usually I have like a curly afro. And so you're seeing like, you're like, where are you from? Like, what is your ethnicity? Right. Because I'm Persian. But once you get to know me and the way that I talk and you get used to the name Shireen, what happens, a thing that like a ton of my friends will say to me like later in our relationship is like, but you seem white to me. And they don't mean anything. It's because it's what they're saying is like, you seem like me.
Oh,
Like, and it's true because like
Oh my
I look at
gosh.
Todd and I'm like, Todd and I are the same. Todd and I are the same. But like, obviously you can look way different, and like, but a lot of people who've never experienced what I experienced, like, don't understand that, like, they're wrong. you
Interesting.
know
I've never ever like that would never cross my mind to say that to
Mhm.
somebody. Like you
Yeah,
see,
yeah,
but I can only imagine what that feels. I mean, I can't imagine what it feels like.
yeah.
Okay, wait. I've had people say you seem straight to me.
Yeah, no, same. It's the same. It's the same. This is what I think. That's like, I think you'd get it anyway because you're such an empathetic person. But like, obviously, like, you have like a thing right there to relate to as well, and it's
And it's like,
exactly that.
what does that mean? Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
So interesting.
Right, and it's like, it's not even, you know, uh, it's weird for a number of reasons. Not only because it's like not true, but it's not a bit. It's almost as if like, oh, it's a bad thing that other people see me as not white. It's not a bad thing. It's not a contest. It is just what it is, and we can acknowledge it. But so many people, especially, and I think again, like, the world has gotten a lot better today in
Yeah.
2026. Like, people get it a lot more. But even back then in 2015, like, people, my closest friend, many of my closest friends didn't get it. And when they saw it on TV, when they saw people treating me like absolute fucking dog shit, and they know me and they know I'm like, I'm not a I'm not doing anything to, like, to hurt anybody. I'm also like, I know when I'm being annoying, and I know to back off. And I would back off of people and they would still come at me. Like, my friends know me and they saw people treating me like garbage, and they knew it finally registered. Wow. People just, it's because I look a certain way. It's because I'm not
Which,
this
oh my
stick
gosh.
thin, bikini babe, blonde, white looking Christian chick.
So
Who, by the
that
way, if
felt
I,
good, right?
yeah,
Like,
that
is
felt
that what
great.
you're saying right here? Is like they finally understand. They finally are getting it. Gosh, damn, that's crazy. That is crazy. I think it's super interesting hearing you talk about it, because I truly do believe that a lot of people, and myself included, especially back in the day, have blinders. I was born and raised in Utah, where everybody is, for the most part, white, and
Mhm,
everybody is, for the most part, Mormon. And so
mhm.
it is a bubble. And so I know that going on Survivor in the first place was one of my very first experiences of like learning about people who look different than me, and that they actually do go through these kinds of things on a daily basis. Because in my
Mm,
little world, it was something that was made up for movies and TV. It wasn't a
yeah,
reality. And so that's where
yeah,
I started to really learn that this
yeah,
is something that happens.
Mhm.
yeah,
And I mean, I'm grateful, because I was always like, I've always been the kind of person where I don't care, but like who you are, where you're from, what you look like, what you practice, religion, like who you love, blah blah blah. If you're a good person, you're a good person. Period. Like that's just how
yeah,
I've always been. But um, I feel like understanding and hearing it from somebody who goes through it on a
yeah.
daily basis is really eye opening and important to hear,
Mhm.
because I can't imagine exactly how hard it's been.
And I was gonna say, like, I think, circling back to Sandra, like, this is what people, like, never really talk about, as what is so impressive about Sandra is that, like, she was on these very early seasons that were cast in certain kind of ways where, like, you know, she she has, like, so much going against her in terms of how the people that are typically cast are gonna view a woman like her, right? Like an unathletic, Latina. She even has an accent. She was also considered an older lady, even though she's just in her 30s. She's a mom. Um, and to have won for like 2 out of 2, like first
Yeah.
time and second time. And like, so much of it also has to do with your draw. Like, she did get the better, like, if she were on the Andrew Savage tribe, she would have been obviously like an earlier boot. Um, but like, and I got, like, the maximum worst draw one can get, like, in that spot. Like, you can like mix and match some of these things, but like it is what is so truly impressive that like nobody ever talks about is that she was able to overcome all of these, like, stereotypes and whispers and like latent things, like, from these early era seasons
Mhm.
to still win. Like, that's how cool she is, man. And like, that's how good she is at this game. Like, she has to work so much harder to win, and still did it no problem, 2 out of 2, you
And
know?
I agree. Like, and that's why anybody who wants to like discredit Sandra for winning twice, I'm like, you have no idea how hard it was for her to actually do that. Like that is so impressive. And I even remember in my casting, they asked me like, who do you look up to in Survivor? And I said Rob Cesternino and Sandra.
Yeah, same.
And those are the
Oh,
two
wow.
that I
Of
would
course.
say.
Of course. You too.
Yeah.
Right. Because Rob Cesternino is a student of the game and he was extremely good at strategy. And Sandra had so much to overcome, but she still somehow made it to the end. You know, it was
Yeah.
pretty, I just think it's freaking impressive. But
Yeah.
um
But yeah, so I mean, to circle back to Leslie's question, like, like, did I learn something from my first season about myself? Did I grow in any kind of way? Not. I didn't, and I'm not like trying to be glib or anything, and it's not because I'm
You're
closed-minded.
not
Like
the
I
only
was,
one who said that. No, I think
yeah,
it's very fair. I don't think everybody needs to walk away going, "Oh, I learned so much." I'm just curious.
yeah. I think for me, it was like it also like wasn't like the hardest thing that I've ever been through. The hardest thing that I've ever been through is like I grew up in a home of extreme domestic violence that I got myself out of, and so everything in life after that is going to be a cakewalk to me. Even though Survivor was still extremely hard, and I did go into a depression afterwards. But yeah, and then honestly, like
Did you go
and I
into
look,
this depression after season 30? And then you
yeah,
did another one like
uh-huh.
right after? So
Yeah, and
you were
that's why
in depression when you went into the second one. Oh, good
yeah, and that's why
God.
I wish that I said no because I needed time to heal. But
Yeah.
you don't think you're ever gonna get that call again. And I knew I was a lock for second chance, but I was a mess out there. I was like not like with people, but like in my confessionals, I was like like sobbing and I just like for nothing. And I it was tough. Um and I was not in my right mind, and then I had to spend a lot of time after second chances to fix myself,
Yeah.
and I did.
Good.
And I'm so grateful that I fixed myself.
Yeah. That takes a
Um,
lot of courage and a lot of work.
and
And
you
I
know
mean,
what?
I get it.
We had a conversation too out in Ecuador, and it was one of those things where we all go through this crazy experience. If we're on different seasons, whatever, we all go through something that is the same but different. And then we all
mhm,
get a different thing from it.
yeah.
But I got to meet Leslie in the jungle of China because of this game. And I got to meet Shireen in the jungles of Ecuador, not even playing the game, but because of the game.
Yeah.
And it's like the friends and the relationships that I've made through Survivor is something that has been so unbelievably life-changing to me that alone is the win. I love both of you women so much. Like I think that you're just incredible humans. I mean, Leslie does all of she writes books, she has another podcast, she does coaching on like getting it out of your religion, and she does it all because she wants to. She's passionate about it. And then Shireen, you freaking run these tech companies and this poker and like all like these are incredible things, and you are both so strong. And it's like, but I never would have met you guys or like become friends with you guys if it wasn't for the show,
Yeah.
True. It's true.
which is bizarre to think. Like we wouldn't just run into each other and think that's someone
Right.
who's going to connect with me.
Yeah.
And so,
Oh, wait, that leads me to a question for you, Shireen. I know
Mhm.
we've had some pretty awful experiences, but was there anything you walked away from Survivor that you're thankful for?
Oh yeah. I actually I have made a ton of close friends so I made some close friends in the press.
Mm.
I love the guys in press, and I've like Josh Wigler, Gordon Holmes, and Dalton Ross.
Oh yeah.
Love them. Josh and I in particular have had some like really fun adventures together. Um, and then also in production, there are a couple people that I just absolutely adore and consider good friends. From my second season, there are a bunch of people from my second season whom I love, at Ryman included. And it's through Ryman that I then got to meet, Todd, obviously, who I'm obsessed with. Um,
We all are.
and right. And so definitely there's like there is that people aspect that I love and I'm grateful for. And there's just like there's something about and then there's the other thing of like of achieving a difficult life dream. Because like this life dream was totally out of my hands, but I
Yes.
never gave up and was persistent, right? Like for all of us, and like we did it. That's another thing that is, I think, really special. Like and so like it gives you that feeling of like within reason, I know I can do anything and I've proven it.
Yeah.
And I think that then there's just this other aspect of we've been on TV and I'm like, that's just
Weird.
it's a weird like I'm not even gonna say badge of honor, but just badge. And
Yeah.
like it gives you like a different it's like a different thing to have about you. It's like a
Perspective. It's a different,
Yeah.
it is interesting because I do think, the thing I think that is so special is that it was Survivor. I feel like
Mhm.
Survivor is such a cultural phenomenon. Like
Mhm.
it has been around for so long. It was the original, reality, like super show. Like we've had reality before, but this one was out of control to the point where now we're at season 50. So I think nobody can ever take that away from us, even if the actual experience wasn't stellar.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you are still a part of something that
Yeah.
not everybody can say they were a part of. And you came out on the other side and you've
Yeah.
grown so much, you've healed so much, you've got so much to offer now because of the perspective you gained from all of that. Like
Yeah.
to me, I'm just like, wow, I can't believe I get to say I was a part of this. This is something that will go down in history. You know what I
Mhm.
mean?
Yeah.
Like, we're a part of that. You guys,
Yeah.
pinch yourselves. It's so cool.
Well, and the truth is with Survivor, and I think the problem with a lot of I shouldn't say the problem. So a lot of people dream of going on Survivor, and a lot of people's dreams are not fully accomplished. So a lot of people's experience is not great. And that's okay. That's okay. Some people, not everybody has to love the experience. Not everybody has
No.
to feel something wonderful from it. But I think it is important to share why,
Yeah.
because a lot of people don't want to hear the parts that aren't always sunshine and rainbows. Because life isn't just glitter and butterflies. Even down to like my whole drinking career after Survivor and stuff like that. Life isn't always exciting and happy. Sometimes it
Yeah.
sucks. But
Mhm.
Yeah.
but I do truly believe that some like the shit that we go through it, if we make it through, we only become stronger. We become like really freaking thick-skinned people. Like I know that I can get through anything in my life,
Yeah.
and Survivor is a large part of that.
Well, and when I work with my coaching clients who are leaving religion and they're like
Oh.
mad, they're mad because they have been deceived. They've been, bought into something that they now realize wasn't real. And, they go through all that, but I always try to slow them down and say, yeah, I mean, look, I admit it was pretty crappy what you went through, but is there anything good that came from it? What do you want to bring with you? Because every experience is going to have both the crap and good, And so when you focus in on, what I really learned that community is important to me. I learned that I do like the feeling that there's something bigger than me. I learned that, it's nice to be in a room with people who see life the way I see it, but that's not where I want to stay. You know what I mean? Like, I think when you start to look at the things that are good about the experience, even when it was actual crap, even though there's a lot of trauma, it kind of helps the healing. It's not negating what went wrong. That's a whole nother healing, journey. But like to be able to go, yeah, but this, and I'm thankful. And I loved hearing what the good was that you brought with you, because I think that, even in the crappy experiences, which I hate to hear that you had that, for you, I'm so sorry, I really am. It
Especially as a
breaks my
super
heart.
fan, makes me
Yeah,
sad.
as a super fan and like all of it, I was like feeling it. And then I went,
Yeah.
but then I'm like, but look at you. You're not like wallowing around in it, and I always tell my kids,
And you're not broken.
no, you're not
You're not
broken.
like this broken mess.
Well,
Yeah.
and you can be given shit in your life, right? That it can be turned into something you can wallow around in and be sad about, or you can turn it into fertilizer. And I feel like that's what you did. And you've grown, like Todd said. So
Yeah. And you
Go
know what?
girl.
Actually, like a lasting impact that Survivor had on me that's like kind of a swerve is so after I got on the show is like when I really started because I was a huge super fan, but like in my own by myself in my
Yeah.
own bubble with my TV. But I got a lot more into like the fan community online after I was on, and I discovered like the loud vocal, largely gay fandom, and like
Mhm.
the ones who love the like honestly like the loud annoying people, like the people who are actually entertaining on the show versus like what we're sort of spoon fed and raised to like, which is like the boring athletic guys who are
Mm.
so boring. We're so boring. And like I like grew up kind of like with the like, oh, like she's annoying and like Colby's great. And like, this is like the classic Jerry Colby situation, right?
Mhm.
Of like, and seeing that has like completely reshaped the way that I view all television and movies, where now I'm like, because obviously, of course, I like what we love about these shows are the entertaining people. Um, and it's like the poison has been like drained from my brain, and then I'm now seeing it with my eyes wide open of like, I love the entertaining people. I love like the fun people. And it's the boring people that are dragging me down, and I don't understand why they're there at all. And their looks don't make up for it.
We had a conversation about this where it's like um Jean Robert on our season, right?
Mhm.
America loved to hate him.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And but he is, if you really sit back and watch, Jean Robert is really good TV.
Yeah.
And he makes it entertaining because you
Mhm.
want to root for somebody and root against somebody, but he really brings out the odd off the wall character. And so yes, like the Jerry Manthys and the Lexes and like
Yeah.
just people throughout the seasons who we are basically trained to look at as like, oh, I don't like them because of this.
Yeah.
But that online community, I know who you're talking about because they love they love the crazies.
The crazies.
Yeah. No, and it just like, and like I said, like it didn't just reshape the way that I watch Survivor, it reshaped the way that I watch everything.
Everything. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
now when I hear other people talk about shows, TV, and like I hear the things people say, it's like, and then it's also kind of easier to pick out like the kind of people that I want to spend my time with
Mhm.
or
Yep.
not.
Or not.
Or not.
Yeah.
Exactly.
A friend of mine who was just visiting me for New Year's said to me, I forgot where he heard it from, but he said he thinks that everybody is either annoying or boring. And he said, he's like, Shireen, no one's ever called you boring.
So what are you trying to say? No.
No, but like when you think about it that way, and what I love about it though is like it's fine. Like that's the point is like you like what you do have to learn going through the Survivor experience is like embracing it, like you have to embrace your edit, you have to embrace your storyline, you have to embrace the experience. You can't like hold on to things. Like you just have to you have to have a sense of humor about it and move on. But it feels so serious in the moment. But it's like honestly like annoying is like sure, like I will have I own that I can be very annoying and like
Same.
yeah,
Me too.
I don't care. Yeah.
Yeah.
Much
100%.
much worse things to be in the world.
Shireen is one of my favorite people that I know, and I am just so happy that you've joined us today. And we are reaching the end of our time, but I want you to tell everybody like what you're up to, what
Yeah.
is going on in your life now.
Yeah. Okay, so after we got back from Ecuador, Todd forced me to go on the dating apps. So I have recently joined Hinge and Bumble. Yeah. So I've been going on a lot of first dates. I have a third date tonight. It's my first third date in
That's
this journey.
big. That's
Yeah.
pretty
Super
big.
exciting.
Mhm.
Other than that, I currently work on the tech side of a big poker company, just building like a poker app for them. So yeah, nothing too exciting, but that's the work that I'm doing
Pretty freaking
now.
exciting if you ask me.
Yeah.
I'm just building a poker app. Don't worry.
Well,
No big deal. Solid.
what else? I live in Vegas now. I got out of California, but I still have to fly to California every week for work.
How do you like Vegas?
I love it. The only two things that I think suck here are healthcare and the dating scene. So the dating thing is rough for me right now as a single woman, but yeah, and part of that is because like I think a lot of people come to Vegas like um it's like I don't know how to say it like nicely, but it's kind of like hustler culture. Like a lot of people come here with nothing, trying to find their thing, and so a lot of people you meet like don't have their shit together or do have like mental health issues that they have not worked on. Like people who just like haven't worked on themselves, and like at this point I'm 42, like I want to date somebody who has their shit together, and
that's not too much to ask, I promise.
Yeah,
it's a very good standard.
Yeah, you're not asking for too much to be have your life together.
Yes, please.
Yeah, but it's like so easy to live here. It's like so much cheaper than California. It's so easy to get around. Like there's just everything you can, there's tons of stuff to do. I almost never go on the strip except when friends are visiting, but like if I wanted anything to do at all, I could just show up to the strip or otherwise, and there's tons of stuff to do.
Always stuff. Yeah, that's true.
So
fun.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like you're doing great, and I appreciate so much you coming on to be on the torch and sharing your journey with us and being so vulnerable and just talking about the stuff that I think a lot of people don't like to talk about. It's important that we do,
because a lot of people will pretend. They'll put on a face and be like, it was
Yeah.
wonderful. And that's one thing I really appreciate about Shireen is that she doesn't pretend. And that is important in life.
It is,
Just
yeah.
be yourself.
Mhm.
So,
Yep.
and I love that about you,
You
Shireen.
go, girl. Love it.
This was so much fun. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Yeah,
Thank
of
you,
course.
thank you,
Doing
thank you
this.
so much.
Yeah, we're having a ball. It's been really fun to
Yeah.
get, behind the scenes with all these fun people that have already been
Yeah.
vetted. They've already been
Yeah.
vetted and
Right.
tested, and
Yeah.
we're like, you're going to be a great interview.
Yeah, that's right. Because everyone's already going to be really chatty and have a lot to
Yeah.
say. Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, it's surprisingly been quite fun because I never wanted to do a podcast in the first place, but now I actually enjoy doing it.
See?
Yeah.
See?
Yeah.
So great.
Yeah.
But you were amazing. Thank you, Shireen. You have
Thank
an
you guys
amazing
so much.
weekend. It was good to
You
talk
too.
to you.
Bye. Love you.
Bye.
Well, you were
Oh, I love
right.
her.
She's amazing. That was really
She's
fun.
great. She's wonderful.
Yeah.
Shireen is like, it's so interesting because within seconds, it was like this super good energy. And like we just instantly connected, and I felt comfortable around her. I felt safe around her. And I feel like she also felt safe around me. And I feel like that's important in a relationship is to, you don't have to force yourself to be present. And like that's how I feel around you. I feel like you're extremely safe and you're extremely comfortable. And that's not super common with me, where like I can instantly have a connection like that. Cause usually I'm the one who will have my walls up.
Yeah.
And it takes a minute to like let someone in. But you and her are two people who I didn't have that, which was pretty
Yeah.
awesome.
No, I agree. You're one of those people for me too. I always say that. Like safety for me is what love is immediately.
Yes.
Because I can easily love somebody who I feel safe with. If I don't feel safe with you, it's not going to happen. I just can't.
Absolutely.
And so thank you for being that person in my life. And thank you for introducing me to her. It was fun. I've never met her before. So it's kind of fun to meet her for the first time.
Oh, she's just like a little spitfire and full of energy and life, and she's great.
Yeah.
So,
well, I hope you guys enjoyed this Beyond the Torch episode. It was a lot of fun hanging out with her and bringing her story to you. And don't forget, we've got a new episode every single week. And now we're going through Reality After Show. So make sure you're following Reality After Show on, all the socials and everything. We do still have our social media, but you can find our stuff under Reality After Show now, which it's just a fun little alliance we've made to, I think it's important that as we grow, we don't try to reinvent the wheel. If there's already a wheel that's been invented that wants us to be a part of it, hell yeah, let's do it. So that's why we're doing it.
I totally agree. And I think for the fans in general, it also makes life a whole lot easier because it's like there's already a nice base of, reality fans with
Mhm.
Johnny Fairplay and just adding us to the mix is something completely different, but
Yeah.
still
Yeah.
reality.
Yeah, exactly. It's the same exact show, just in a different address. But anyway, also, if you want to be an ambassador and like share stuff when we share it, all you got to do is send me an email, beyondthetorch@gmail.com. And I will make sure to put you in there and tag you when we want these different things shared. Make sure you're following us on social media, and we will see you right here next time on Beyond the Torch.